So we were just sitting here and we're hearing a allied professional telling their client that they were doing the single leg RDL, and I couldn't help smile and turn my head because and to confirm it was an exercise that I developed in the late 80s, early 90s, published in the late 90s to solve the problem of an absence of exercise or a dearth of exercises in a subcategory that I'd created, which is called stability and control. So that's a smile and wave situation. And then David had a question.
Yeah, I was wondering if they used the term RDL back in the days.
Yep. So everybody was doing a rounded back good morning or rounded back deadlift, stiff-legged, until Dragomir, maybe in a Romanian, but he was a former national or assistant national coach who'd been hired by the American Weightlifting Association either to do a series of seminars or work as an assistant coach at the national level, or both. And he'd brought over an exercise, and I remember it was about 1991, 92, and I was at a weightlifting level 1 course in America, and he was demonstrating it with athletes. And the day before, and the day before that, I was watching these athletes walk around, and we're at the NSCA convention. I couldn't work out what sport they were in, which was intriguing me. So they didn't have the upper trap development of a weightlifter. So they got really good legs, strong backs, but no upper trap, so to speak. Who are they? And they were, I believe they were actually the Romanian, those two. And so during that tour, people watching it, it became known as Romanian Deadlift. So the Romanian Deadlift was what he was teaching, which was wide grip, chest up, slightly bent knees, way back in the heels, and pivot from the hip. No one was doing anything like that. It was I promoted it in my writings and in TMAG, etc., and then between that and a few others, the people who saw the seminar series, which in retrospect wasn't that many, relatively speaking, back in the day, it wasn't that big a thing, weightlifting. But the flat back technique just didn't exist. Hearing the word RDL, a little annoying to me, because the Romanian deadlift is one way of doing a stiff-legged deadlift. Everybody now would say, well, every like what I introduced, which was stand on one leg, bend over, touch the toes, is not a Romanian deadlift. The Romanian deadlift was wide grip with a bar, flat backed, weight on your heels. Like they're the three characteristics that define it, and they just want that sexy term. It's like it's a Russian this and a Romanian that. So it's a little bit annoying because they got no respect to history and got no idea what they're talking about. So as soon as you see that, you can see that they're newcomers with lacking the desire to dig a bit deeper. So no, it was not called that. But after it arrived, quite ironically, and already there was a subgroup of people who believed that rounded back's dangerous. So there was those people celebrated the arrival of that, and then the dominant paradigm became that it's dangerous to do rounded, and the only way you should do a stiff-legged with a flat back. But unless it's being done with the level of detail that they were teaching, that coach was teaching, it's not a Romanian deadlift. And I don't see too many people doing it the way it should be done. And it's one variation of a barbell wide grip stiff-legged deadlift. So no, that I called a single leg stiff-legged deadlift. I did refer to the back shape, but there's two types of back shapes. In essence, there's rounded and there's flat. But the essence of the ideal, as I said, wide grip with a bar, knee angle constant, weight goes backwards. Who do you ever see doing that with a constant knee angle? People are changing the angle, and another thing they change is they pivot from above the hip. They're pivoting anywhere in the spine. So you won't even see an attempt to imitate the original movement done well, let alone anything else. So no, this is all Johnny-come-lately shit. The reference to that as an RDL would have taken quite a few years. I mean, I published the single leg stiff-legged in 98. I showed it in 98 in an Australian seminar series. I published it in 99 throughout America in my seminar series. I did a video for TMAG, just a one-off. Here are some of my innovation exercises. Like, you may have seen it back in the day. It was just, and that was the first time Americans would have seen it, because I published that with them. I was at their office one day and they said, "Hey, you want to shoot me?" I said, "Sure." So we just grabbed the local kid who was, Chad-eyed kid who was in the office at the time, and he was my demonstrator, and we went and shot a video. And that was before the Get Buff series was even released, that video. So that was probably the first exposure Americans had to that exercise. And then it was published extensively through all my articles at TMAG, which is over 70 period, and the programs on TMAG, and then the Get Buff series. But, I can't say the year that everybody started calling every stiff-legged deadlift an RDL, but it wasn't in 1992, I think, surely.
Right.
And weightlifters predominantly back in the day did rounded good mornings. Now people won't even do a rounded good morning. So everything's got to be flat pack. It's just people have to be black and white, simplistic about it.